what's coming up for me, just on this topic, Colleen, is it's something that Amy Johnson's been talking about lately about welcoming what's arising. Because everything that shows up in our lives, everything that comes into our lives in terms of our circumstances, but particularly in terms of the feelings that come up in response to circumstances, if it's not familiar and doesn't feel comfortable, the mind wants to push it away. It doesn't want to welcome it in. And it wants to look for something that's going to change that and bring us back to what is familiar in terms of where do we go for love, happiness, and a sense of success. And what she's been talking about a lot, and we've been playing with and have experienced through our lives actually too, is the difference between when something comes up and I don't like the way it feels, and I go, whoop, not going there. That's a no-fly zone. I tell you, I can't tell you how many no-fly zones I had in our relationship when we first got together, because I'm such a people pleaser, I want to accommodate people. And here's this person I love. So that means the perfect foundation for the relationship is that I do what she wants. She won't get upset. My no-fly zone is upset. We can't have any upset or disagreement in a relationship. And so there were all these no-fly zones. So what could I do but start withdrawing? Because now I can't express this and I can't express that. And then you've heard this story before, about every 6 months, she'd grab me by the collar and she'd go, where are you? I'm way back in this cave. Everything's okay, right, honey?
That's too funny.
It wasn't funny at the time.
No, I'm sure it wasn't, but I'd actually like to see it.
Yeah. And so, that would shake me out of my stupor. And the parallel that's so interesting to me is how my father became alcoholic the last 20, 25 years of his life. So my whole upbringing, he was never drinking alcohol, not in any excess. He'd have a cocktail, never a problem. And then it really became problematic. So that was a problem for my mother in their relationship. And it would get to the point where she just had enough and said, okay, Jack, that's it. I'm out of here. And he'd wake up. He'd stop drinking. He'd be the perfect husband again for how long? And then he'd get back into his habits because he was being driven the same way I was, trying to avoid those feelings that were soothed by the alcohol. So this whole idea of welcoming what's arising, we're never going to break the cycle if we aren't willing to feel, to just open with curiosity and actually see what actually is that feeling. What we're usually trying to avoid is what our mind is telling us that feeling is pointing to in our future. This is not going to work out well. But the feeling itself, at least whenever we have really allowed ourselves to drop into the feeling itself, that feeling is energy. And in that energy is intelligence. And it is feedback from the body that we're believing something that isn't actually true about who we really are. In my case with Connie, if I bring up that I have a difference of opinion, that's going to be the end of the relationship and probably the death of me, because how could I live without her? So if I'm not willing to feel that feeling and feel the energy of it and find the intelligence in it, and by finding the intelligence, I don't mean figure out the intelligence. When I drop into that energy, the intelligence of that feeling reveals itself to me. It comes to me. My mind, we cannot think ourselves into freedom, into living who we really are. How can we? We're already who we really are. We have to stop thinking and stop believing our thinking that's saying, if she gets upset, end of world. Is that true? When I feel the energy, at some point, it comes to me. I'm telling myself a lie. It's not the end of everything. In fact, in my clarity, I can see how much more dynamic our relationship is if we express our differences. And when I don't make it a problem, so she's got to change to be like me, or I have to change to be like her, then our differences can come together and actually enhance each other. So it's this whole idea of welcoming what's arising has taken on a whole new meaning for us, and we really enjoyed that. So I've had the thought about maybe we ought to do a new course, kind of welcoming what's arising, or loving what is another way of saying it. Because if it is occurring, it's there for a very beneficial reason. Everything that happens in the universe, because the universe is only the unfolding of pure, infinite, loving intelligence. Everything that's occurring is occurring for our benefit. Even though in certain circumstances, as I perceive what's happening in my life, my mind interprets it as being, this is not going to be good. There's no way there's any benefit in this. I've got to make sure she doesn't say this or do this again, or I've got to make sure I don't say this or do this again. And it gets all mixed up. So the more I can come from that place of understanding that first, that's what gives me kind of the courage to feel anything. The more I'm grounded in knowing that everything that occurs in my life is beneficial, then I'm a little more prone to dip a toe in that water, to actually go into that no-fly zone, to see what's really there. It allows me to drop underneath that thinking that I'm scaring myself with. The thinking that she might leave me if. I get under that thinking, because that, I mean, we could talk about it, and she said, I wouldn't leave you for that. But that's not what my brain's believing. So the more I'm willing to drop underneath, let go of all of that thinking that isn't true, the more I see, wow, this is just energy. And the beauty of it is that I begin to see that this energy isn't just energy. It is my life force. It is this pure power of love that animates this life.
And is always teaching you if you'll listen.
Always,
Yeah.
not that silly.
He's always teaching all of us. It's such a gift. And we've avoided it. I certainly did my whole life.
Well, it's the dopamine thing that has us
Yeah.
avoiding it, because it says that's not where pleasure is. Until we see that what's creating the pain is not what we believe is going to happen. What creates the pain is the separation that I create from what is in my life, because I'm saying, this is bad, I don't want to go there. It's my resistance to welcoming in what is showing up for me to learn and grow into the full potential that I need.